Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Ukrainian Crisis Media Center continues its work, and the topic of the next press briefing is the evening of Spanish zarzuela at the Kyiv Philharmonic, organized by the Embassy of Spain in Ukraine and Ricardo Casero orchestra. And we have here the ambassador Atona and also the advisor on cultural issues, Utrias, and also Lozano, España, Soprano Olga Chubareva, Ukraine, and Ricardo Casero, and also the Deputy of Director of National Philharmonic, Jose Armandez, and Agent Ricardo Casero Gosman. And please, Mr. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for coming to the presentation of this hidden treasure. That is the idea that we want to present. On the night of the 5th in the Philharmonica, you are going to be able to see the first, let's say, comprehensive presentation of a hidden treasure, as I say. Zarzuela is something that is very often known as the Spanish operetta, which is probably a wrong way of presenting it, because it's, first of all, it's much older than operetta, and it's a style of music that is so closely related to the idiosyncrasy, to the nature of Spanish music and Spanish traditions, that is probably one of the best ways to understand the different sides and different aspects of Spain. Its origins are very, very, very old. Probably Calderón de la Barca and Lope de Vega are the representatives of the first zarzuelas that were composed. But it's a kind of music that is especially popular during the 19th and the early 20th century in Spain. Luckily enough, thanks to the work of many great performers and artists in this century, like most of all Plácido Domingo, zarzuela is becoming relatively better known now, and still not at the height of the quality of the music, that the kind of appreciation that it deserves, but certainly much better than it was in the past. In this endeavor, in this effort, we are trying to give our little help to make this genre better known. In this case, in Ukraine. And for that, we have these fantastic representatives of Spanish music, Israel and Ricardo, and the contribution of Olga Chubareva, that is the representative of the Ukrainian lyric music, that is going to be part of the concert. I don't want to take more time. I'm sure you prefer to listen to the artist, and I'm going to pass the floor to Israel to start with, and give you just the tip that don't forget the 5th in the night in the Philharmonic. It's a great opportunity to discover a hidden treasure.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Good morning. Being a tenor is an important responsibility, and always when I'm traveling, for me is to be also a music ambassador. And it's very difficult to travel around with all the music, but it's beautiful. And it brings a lot of energy. And as a Spanish tenor, always to be a music ambassador brings, of course, the zarzuela. Zarzuela is a beautiful music from Spain. Obviously, the evolution is 200 years, so you have different kind of styles. And always is associated with the operetta, the German operetta, the Austrian, even some kind of English operettas, the Fledermaus. But zarzuela in Spanish, because we pronounce with a th, is nothing wrong with my tongue, it's just the right pronunciation. It brings something else. And the orchestration, as you will see with this program, is a full, rich orchestration, and sometimes it's even more difficult than an opera. So there are different transitions, obviously, when the bel canto repertoire from Donizetti, Bellini, Puccini, Verdi, all this kind of verism, you can see, you can hear, you can feel the full orchestration, and then Maestro Ricardo Casero will explain you better. about maybe the harmony and how it's constructed. But it's difficult. Zarzuela is not easy, and it's true that it's a popular music, but it brings all the skills from the opera. So my repertoire is from the Luisa Fernanda, Maestro Torroba. I had the good luck to sing in Vienna while I met Tamara in Vienna in 2008, singing with Maestro Plácido Domingo. And I live in Washington, D.C. I sing sometimes zarzuela in Thailand, in Singapore, in Chile, in Mexico, in Germany. So why not in Ukraine with a wonderful soprano and artist, Olga Chubareva, who I had the pleasure to meet her last year. We had a concert with the Palace of Ukraine, 4,000 people, and it was on TV, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And obviously, this is a great chemistry of sharing, and for me it's an honor to repeat and come back to Kiev. I met last year Jose Hernandez, the artistic director of National Philharmonic of Ukraine, and for me it's a responsibility to bring all the music from Spain. So please let me know if you have any other question. By the way, I met Dimitri Hoffman, who is based in Spain, who is, with your permission, another ambassador in Spain. So it's good to have this team and these people and this family. And music is a universal language. I've been working a few years ago. I did Bohème, I did Madama Butterfly with Maestro Basilenko, and it was beautiful to share this chemistry between Ukrainian and Spanish. And now Spain is coming to Kiev. You have any question?
We'll have questions afterwards, so just...
You have, okay.
Yeah. Who will be the next speaker? Yeah, please.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Casero. I came from Valencia, and thank you very much for your presentations. I really appreciate. This is my first time that in Kiev. I'm going to conduct for my first time, and also for the east part of Europe. I never conduct before. Then I think it's important to say that I'm really happy to be here with the Philharmonica, with fantastic solists, and also with fantastic repertoire that we are going to offer on the 5th. Remember that. And for me, to make this kind of concert with full of Spanish colors and full of Spanish percussions, castañuelas, and many of really details of Spanish music here in Kiev is going to be, I think, a great experience. The orchestra this morning was, we were know each other, and the feeling is going to be, I think, one of the great concerts on the season, I think. They are happy to play this kind of music, different music, difficult music. As he said, it's not an easy repertoire. Looks like, but it's not. And I want to say that when Dimitri was telling me 1 year ago to the possibility to come here to conduct the Philharmonica and do this kind of program, I was happy to do it, and I realized the situation in Ukraine. I'm not talking about political. I'm just talking about feelings. And I think I agree to come here and to make this concert and give my support to the positive support to the situation here in Ukraine. I wish you the best solution in the future and still keep your culture and your concerts really top, like you were. And another things you have. Do you want to talk now? Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll be really working really hard for the concert, and I hope you like it.
Доброго дня всім. Я думаю, що, напевне, нехай ще прозвучить українська мова.
Thank you very much. Let's Ukrainian sound here as well. I'm glad to greet you here, and I would like to support my colleagues. I consent with them, with Ricardo Casero, that I'm very glad to our cooperation, and I would like to say that I feel very glad that the Embassy of Spain for his support. That so good concert has been organized, and I hope it would be a wonderful holiday, wonderful party of a wonderful festival of zarzuela. And our cooperation started 1 year ago in April 2015, when for the second season, it was the second season of international project Lady Opera, which was held in International Palace of Ukraine, and I invited the performers, and I invited a wonderful Spanish tenor Israel Lozano, who arrived, and the concert was wonderful. I hope you watched it on TV. It was broadcasted on TV, and you can watch this video in YouTube. I am very glad that our cooperation continues, and we continue with Spanish music this time. It's for me the first experience of performing zarzuela, and I would like to repeat the words which have been already told today, that zarzuela is rather difficult music. It is difficult to perform zarzuela. It is very emotional, and it is very close to me, to my character. This music is very rich in nuances, and such composers as Leon Cavallo, Puccini, it is close to, it is similar to the music which they wrote, and I think in future I will include Spanish zarzuela into my repertoire in order to promote this kind of music in Ukraine. And I think this project of Spanish zarzuela, which will be performed on the 5th of January in the National Philharmonic of Ukraine this Friday, this is just the start of promoting Spanish zarzuela here in Ukraine.
I wanted to add a couple of curiosities, if you want, peculiar things about zarzuela. One is that the real origin of zarzuela comes from the fact that there was such a strong tradition of theater and theater going in Spain when the zarzuela and opera were starting, that there was a rejection of the typical opera because of the singing dialogues. The Spanish public preferred, because of the tradition of theater in Spain, to have the dialogues spoken. And then the arias, what is romanzas as they are called in zarzuela, sang, which is very much along the lines of the Hollywood musicals. That's very much what we can have in mind as a comparison. And another aspect that I wanted to underscore is the fact that zarzuela, apart from being a good reflection of different sensibilities and sensitivities in Spain, was also very closely related to what was happening in the country or in the world at a given point. So much so that there is a zarzuela that happens in Ukraine that is called Katyushka, because at the time it was very much on fashion, the revolution, the Russian Revolution, and on all the aspects that was connected with this. And Katyushka is the story of a lady that happens to be of the royal family, of the Tsar's royal family, as she doesn't know at the time. And it happens in Ukraine, and it's the persecution of this girl by the Bolsheviks. And it's very funny because the Spanish Civil War, there were two versions of the zarzuela itself. One that was in which the Bolsheviks appeared to be the good guys, obviously the left wing. Another one, it was closely to the story as it was conceived to start with, that was following the idea of this girl of the royal family that is persecuted by the Bolsheviks. But again, it's just to give you an example that how zarzuela is connected to the different sensitivities, regional sensitivities or international, because there is also zarzuela in Cuba, in Argentina. For instance, the first time that the word tango is used inside an Argentinian zarzuela. And it has influence also in the Philippines, where there exists a zarzuela that is basically the same story. So it's just sort of trivia or curiosities that I wanted to underscore to make it more amusing for you to investigate about what zarzuela is.
Thank you very much. Probably I would just like to add on top of that this is a unique occasion to watch zarzuela and to listen to zarzuela here in Kyiv, which is the result of many efforts by not only the artists themselves, which of course have been very, very, very easy and very collaborative in this programming, but also to the different institutions. We were lucky enough, very lucky enough indeed, that the Philharmonic here in Kyiv could give us this date, the 5th of February, already last summer, since you have to plan these things in advance. And I would like to emphasize this is the result of Chubareva and Israel Lozano getting to know each other last year, of the embassy in Spain being at that concert present, of our emphasis and our intention of bringing zarzuela, because of everything what has been told today, here to Kyiv, and of this other collaboration between Dimitri and the Philharmonica. And of course, it also represents the excellent collaboration we have presently with the Philharmonica. So I hope you do enjoy the concert on Friday.
Так, слышно, да? And doing that, all languages that are in use in Ukraine were represented. I will speak in Russian. Прежде всего, я хочу сказать, что этот проект, который будет
I would like to say that this project would be performed this Friday on 5th of February in the National Philharmonic of Ukraine. And this project is a result of support, first of all, of the Embassy of Spain in Ukraine. And this is unity of two ideas. Both of them are wonderful. For a long time we have been very interested to invite Ricardo Casero to conduct our symphonic orchestra, and then the idea appeared, and it was initiated by the Embassy of Spain to perform Spanish music in Kyiv, to perform zarzuela. Thanks to enthusiasm and support from the embassy, we united these two ideas. And the result you will see, the result of all of efforts you will see this Friday in Philharmonic in Kyiv, and instrumental works, music will be presented on Friday. In the first section there will be the topic Spain in the music of European composers. This is the most famous pieces from Carmen opera. And it will be a genuine Spanish party festival, very original, very genuine, and at the highest professional level, because we have so top level conductors, soloists, and orchestra. I am very grateful to Mr. Casero, to Israel Lozano for arriving to Kyiv, to Ukraine, and I escorted. We went today with Ricardo here along Krishchatik Street where the Euromaidan events took place, and I explained to Mr. Ricardo and the events on Euromaidan, and I felt that Mr. Ricardo is supports us, just like Israel Lozano. I am very glad that such top-level actors perform here in Ukraine, and it is only natural that I would like to express our deep gratitude to the Mr. Ambassador for the embassy's support, brilliant administrative efforts, that it is very easy and pleasant to implement cultural projects with the Embassy of Spain. Culture and arts, this are scenes which will cement all nations in all times. Thank you very much to the Embassy of Spain and the actors for this good, wonderful performance which we will have.
Could you specify at what exact time the concert is going to start on 5th of February?
At 7 p.m. At 7 p.m.
Yeah.
You can see in the Philharmonic site, philharmonia.com.ua. It is possible to get tickets online.
Yeah, one more question. Who also helped you to organize this concert apart from Philharmonia and the embassy? Was there any help provided from the side of Ministry of Culture of Ukraine or any other governmental institutions?
You know, in this case, Philharmonic belongs to the Ministry of Culture. We are a national organization of the Ministry of Culture, so we can consider that every cancer project we have are supported by the Ministry of Culture of Ukraine.
One more question I'd like to address to Ricardo and Israel. Could you elaborate a bit more what exactly motivated and inspired you to come here to Ukraine? Was it just like the offer from Dmitry Hoffman or some other particular reason to come?
When, particularly in my case, when I was a child, Kiev always was in my mind. Always, you know, we were listening Philharmonic, Kyiv Philharmonic for many, many years with great conductors, great. It was a challenge for me when I was young, and I think that part of Europe, East Europe, for us, it's very common in Spain. I mean, we get a lot of recordings when we were childs, and we grow with this culture in our country. I mean, also Russian culture and East culture, and I think for me, to be here, it's a pleasure. I said before, and I will do my best to do a great concert and to have a big success in Kyiv.
In 2007, I had the great opportunity to work in Spain, in Marbella, with the Opera of Donetsk, with Maestro Vasilenko, and I sang La Bohème, I sang Tosca, and I sang Madama Butterfly. And I met a wonderful professional team that we didn't understand so much because they were speaking in Ukrainian and I was speaking in English. But music is a universal language. And we are musicians, we are artists, we are actors. And after that productions, we felt in love. I felt in love. And right now for me it's very touching, all the situation that Ukraine is having in the past few years, and also with the situation in Donetsk. And for me as an artist, is of course my responsibility always to try to find a project when you find the right people and the right team. And last year when I had the opportunity to work with Olga, and we've been working in a short period of time of this week, obviously we felt again in love, and for me it was to always to fight in the good way, because I wish all the fights it could be just only on the stage, but unfortunately life is different, the world is different. But I like always to fight for the arts. I like to fight for the music. And just last thing, as a music ambassador, with the permission of the Mr. Ambassador, zarzuela, there is taking advantage of the technology and the websites, there is a web link that it is called zarzuela.net. Zarzuela.net. Obviously, you can find in Google a lot of translations in English and a lot of traditions, skill and videos. But zarzuela.net has all the translation of a lot of zarzuelas, like an operas, and it has 1,000 zarzuelas. So I would like to invite you, if you don't know what is about this gender, to discover a little bit more from Spain. 500 million people speak Spanish in the world, even in Cuba, in Argentina, in Colombia. So they are in United States, 80 million people. So Spanish, not only the Chinese people, Spanish we are conquering the world as well. So that is a joke, but please, thank you very much for your support. Keep supporting the music, keep supporting the opera, the passion, the National Philharmonic, and thank you very much. I would like.
Ізраїль, я хотіла ще додати.
I would like to add something as Lozano said about the situation in Ukraine, and I would like to say, as a singer, I want to thank Israel that he reminded me of that concert in the spring 2015, and I'm grateful that the Embassy of Spain and Israel that they came at the invitation to take part in the concert, and in the Lady Opera Hall there were some representatives of the Embassy of Spain, and they came there and they supported Ukraine in the situation, and they are concerned and they support us in our fight for independence and peace in Ukraine. And this project is also a cooperation between Ukrainian side, cooperation of Ukrainian and Spanish culture. And we believe that this is international language and there's no borders for it. And through the music, we do a great job, great diplomacy, because sometimes maybe a lot can be done by the actors, by singers through such projects. We can do a lot, and this is a unification. We support each other, and maybe this is even much more important and useful than words of politicians. Music can speak, and I'm glad that these international efforts, they should be made in Ukraine, because for us in this situation, it is very important to get support from different states through these international musical projects, and we hope that these projects will continue. And by this, we will demonstrate that Ukraine is a European state with high level of culture, and by these projects and by the participation of Philharmonic House, and also by the effort of our singers and musicians, that we create European culture. Thank you very much for your comment. Do you have some questions or comments? I remind that you can ask questions in Ukrainian. So please, do you have some questions?
Crisis Media Center. I have the following question. We always talk here in Ukraine that we need more cultural diplomacy because our culture is not known in the world. It needs to be represented. It needs to be recognized, and we always criticize our government for not doing enough. In case of Spain, it's a total different situation. It's a well-known, internationally recognized culture with the great reputation, long-standing reputation for centuries. Why do you still need projects like that? Because I believe it could be called cultural diplomacy. And it would be interesting to hear the opinion both of the state, Mr. Ambassador, from the standpoint of the Spanish state, and from the standpoint of culture, the artist. What do you think? Why you need to be involved in projects like that? Thank you.
This is a very good question, because as a matter of fact, I wanted to point out the fact that obviously we are always interested in projecting the image of your country, making it better known. We are quite lucky in the sense that you said that Spain is quite a well-known country out of Spain, but we are here talking about an aspect of Spanish culture that is very little known, and it deserves to be known. That's part of it. But also, it is very important to, as Olga was saying, and Israel also, there is another aspect. Bringing Spanish music, Spanish zarzuela in this case, to Ukraine is a word of normalizing the situation of this country, of being recognizing Ukraine as what it is, a normal European country that is yearning to have a normal European life. And this is what in the future will happen more and more as this country is finally left alone to follow its own path, the path that the Ukrainian people has chosen and wants to follow. And we try to help as much as we can in that sense also. That's why I always try to finish my interventions in this country with Slava Ukraina.
There is no question about the great traditions that Ukraine has as a musical, classical background, and Spain as well. And I think the musical exchange, as I said before, music is a universal language, and to keep it in a good shape, it has to be always in movement. You have always to work on that. And why? I will think more about our future generations. This is an educational thing, and this is probably one of the most beautiful treasures, because materialistic things sometimes are gone, but the culture, the traditions, the language, the values, the classical arts skills, if you keep it in your family, this is like an education, generation after generation after generation, you will keep it. And it's good to keep these traditions. The same way that when I went to Spain, or I worked in Spain with Ukrainian people, and I discovered a beautiful country with their own traditions still, because they are keeping generation after generation after generation. We have to do the same thing in Spain. But this is a beautiful and a good working team project, because we are mixing different music, and music is a universal language. So for the next generation, for our children, for your children, it's good to keep in good shape all these classical arts skills, because I will love that opera is not only for all people or for mature people. I've been, for example, in other countries, and I saw orchestra of children with 15 years old, 10 years old, playing Beethoven, playing Mozart, and this is wonderful. It's a beautiful discipline. It's good for your brain. Our mathematics is discipline, the same as a sport, as soccer, football, basketball, but music is an educational goal. So this is something that we need to keep always in mind. So it's important for the adults to keep these traditions for the next generations.
I would like to point out as well that by bringing projects such as this one, we do emphasize the cultural exchange between both our countries, between our artists, between our audiences, and that makes our ties together stronger. And that is one of the goals we have, of course, every time we do anything here in Ukraine.
Очень хороший вопрос про культурную дипломатию. В принципе, это то.
This is a very good question about cultural diplomacy. This is just the scene which do not require much negotiations. This is what is going from heart to heart. This is a project. This project which will be held on Friday is an example of such projects. We have had many years of cooperations with the Embassy of Spain, not only when Spanish performers demonstrate here their performances, but also our actors, Ukrainian musicians, they go to Spain with tours and deliver performances there. And if now you will look at the posters of our opera theater, you can see at every poster that the embassy supports all singers, all musicians. This is very important part of work of embassies, but not always we have enough funds to invite well-known actors and musicians, and the embassy's supports help us to provide the opportunity for Ukrainian audience to listen to good singers. And the second moment of diplomacy is when through the work with our foreign partners, with support of the embassy, we organize performances of Ukrainian actors abroad. This is very important for the public in Europe, in Japan, in the USA. They do understand that Ukraine has good actors and musicians at of a very high professional level. And we have a good school of performing actors, of musicians, and no translators or interpreters are needed. I would like to add to the words of Jose and to return to the previous matter about motivation of actors. I would like to add that any concert is, first of all, it is music and performers, and the second is organizers, administrators, their administrative work to which they involve us, agents. the administrator should find or agents should find those performers who fit the idea the best in this large ocean of performance. It's a large market of performance, and so we can offer the public the best product which most suit to the public interest. The second thing about motivation, I can say that Ricardo, we have told with him about arriving to Ukraine for a long time. It was very important for me that his first concert in the East Europe in environment will be held in Kyiv when all events in Ukraine happened. It was very important for me in person to have cultural support to Ukraine as a country, and I sincerely wish to Ukraine to overcome the hardships and to achieve the level of comfort which Ukrainians deserve for a long time. Thank you, Dmitry. Dear colleagues,
we have, which is different to this one, is we will be having a concert held by with another Spanish soprano whose name is Laura Alonso Padin. That will be on the 19th of February at the SBU. But that is another project, another concert. You're also invited, of course, with some Spanish elements in it as well.
So thank you very much, dear guests, for coming. Good luck with the concert on Friday, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you anytime here at Ukraine Crisis Media Center in the future. Thank you very much, and good luck. Yeah.